Have you ever played Harvest Moon or Stardew Valley and thought, this game really could use some more corpses? And maybe those games were just a tad bit too bright or happy. Boy, do I have the game for you. In Graveyard Keeper, instead of moving to the country to become a farmer, you get isekai'd into an even more depressing world, where you make money by selling human meat from the corpses you bury to unsuspecting townsfolk. Make friends in the beautiful country village of Village, whose residents range from sort of dickish to genociding religious fanatics, who you have to support to advance in quests. Well, at least you have a funny alcoholic skull as a sidekick. You have awoken in a world unbeknownst to you. And it doesn't happen to be a power fantasy wonder world where you're the strongest guy around sporting a harem of the same 5 preset anime women you have seen 100 times before. Instead, it's more akin to the medieval equivalent of your neighboring shithole town you never hear anything about unless there's another murder or bizarre backyard drug empire uncovered. It follows that your main goal is to get the hell out of here and find out why you're here in the first place. But for that, we need to do our job as a graveyard keeper. While this game could easily be confused with Stardew Valley and cohorts on the first glimpse, it is not a farming game at all. Well, it's somewhat of an organ farming game, I suppose. In this collectathon, where the collectibles are crimes against humanity, you must commit malpractice and disassemble the corpses entrusted into your care by the resident communist donkey. Mutilate the corpses of unsuspecting victims whose souls will haunt you for the rest of your days. Which is fine, because at least you get paid a couple of bucks for their meat to be sold as a hamburger. Is that disgusting? Maybe. Necessary? Not at all. Harvest human flesh, skin, bones, fat, brains, intestines, blood, hearts, and even skulls to sell, study and craft. But be careful, as depending on what manner of desecration you commit, you also change the rating of the corpses. Yes, there is a rating system for corpses. Don't question it. You want your corpses to be as beautiful as possible. After all, the rating of the corpses also influences the rating of your church. So depending on the condition of a given body, you must decide whether to bury it, cremate it, reanimate it and turn it into a zombie slave for the rest of eternity, or whether to dump it into the local river and let it be a nice surprise for an unsuspecting child playing in the water. Simply removing parts of the corpses isn't the extent of your job. You can also add certain parts and use embalming fluids to create the perfect corpse. Being quite frank, this isn't a feature I have yet used all that much, because it didn't seem too necessary. Though you can change the corpse rating this way, it's usually enough to just remove fat and blood for a corpse with a decent rating. Also hard to find the time for corpse experiments when your morgue is overflowing as is. Of course, the disassembling and reassembling of corpses is not your only job as a graveyard keeper. You also have to do graveyard keeping, dig graves, throw in the bodies and choose a nice headstone and fencing. The rating of your church depends on the corpse rating and the chosen grave decorations. Only with a high enough rating will you be able to upgrade the church and unlock further parts of it, which will lead to more things like your own sermons and alchemy. Not quite sure if God's gonna be too happy about me using his basement to cook some meth, but I assure you it's absolutely vital. At some point you may want to commence the great unfucking of the graveyard, because some of these buried corpses reek. Just throw them in the river and put in new ones. These ones are nice and juicy. If you don't want to have a corpse in your graveyard to begin with, possibly because the state of it leads you to believe this person during their lifetime had the bodily hygiene standards of the average Smash player, you can choose to not bury it. Of course, you don't want it to keep rotting away and stinking the place up, and if you don't want the corpse in your graveyard but still want it to have some practical use, you may choose to turn the body into a zombie slave working for you in the mines, on the farm, or really to fulfill any of your labor needs. Unpaid, of course. Once you start delving into the world of slave labor, you'll find that more and more processes can be automated. It feels a bit like Factorio at this point. At least I think so, I haven't played it myself. As I mentioned, you can upgrade the church and become a preacher for the local religion and spread the good word. What, you don't believe in the religion? You don't know why you should preach it? The answer is easy. Money. Dear God, today I pray to you for more money, you piece of shit. Thank you. Well, money is only one of the bonuses you get for your sermons. There's faith, basically another currency, though it for some reason takes up inventory space, which isn't very practical. Hey man, you want some faith? Got it right here in my pocket. There's a lot of different prayers you can do, giving you boons in writing or farming or business. But I just used the money faith combo prayer and never looked back. Just gotta hope that God doesn't happen to see all the shit I've done. That would be bad, I think. As a graveyard keeper, ethics are of no concern. You simply need to do what you need to do. Lying, desecration, accessory to murder and making people cannibals are just a couple of actions that make your journey in pursuit of the truth that much easier. While you're committing moral misdeeds, you may meet a number of not so friendly faces, who may at times be the reason why you're selling human meat or helping to burn witches in the first place. I assure you, this random woman is definitely a witch. Some of these NPCs are bound to the days of the week, appearing only on a weekly basis. The prostitute only appears on International Women's Day, and Solid Snake only on Circle with Ears Day. Most probably the biggest dickhead of them all is the Inquisitor, who lost his family or something, so now he is on a quest to become the biggest bastard this land has yet seen. Genociding women he believes to be witches is an act you might find morally appalling. You might feel the urge to never speak to him again and ignore his questline. But, hear me out, you could also help him find a witch to burn and then sell hamburgers made from human meat at the burning for profit. Everything to get back to your love. I mentioned earlier that this isn't a farming game. That was a bold-faced lie. There is in fact farming in this game, and mining, and woodworking, and cooking, and fishing, and building. Am I really just a graveyard keeper? There's about half a dozen billion things to craft. And for these things you need a lot of different crafting stations, ovens, study tables and other fun stuff. And you'll probably be spending a lot of time having 20 plus tabs of the wiki open. After all, this game barely explains any of the 50,000 systems. This shit is more complicated than my degree. To be able to craft all the stuff you need, you will need a lot of materials. Like an actual shit ton. I had to grind harder in this game than I do my teeth every night. Which is why I have to wear this whack-ass mouth guard. But where is my sanity guard for spending hour upon hour on acquiring iron and stone in the mines which I have to run toward an anti-sonic speed, until I realized that my pickaxe only had one use left, which means that I have to run all the way back, fix my shit and then get back to the mines and wait a couple of hours until I get anything and then repeat this process 100 times over. Not sure which doctor to go to for that problem. The night terrors I get from this grinding are probably comparable to the ones caused by the tension headaches from literally grinding down my fucking jaw as well. Remember the Oregon Trail? Yeah, this whole running around shit is comparable. Except there at least you had the chance to die of dysentery. Here when you die, you just return to life. What I just said is but a mild exaggeration. Your walk speed in this game is ludicrously slow, which makes any action more annoying. Oh, you need to speak to this one guy to give him a quest item to receive another quest item you have to give to another dude across the map? Well, buckle up, you stupid fuck, and get comfortable, cause that's gonna take a minute or 60. Well, luckily I did manage to find out after a far too high amount of playtime that there are in fact speed potions in this game, which make you move at an actually reasonable speed. And there's a teleport stone. If only I knew sooner. Maybe I could have saved money on the therapist appointment. Certainly didn't help when I looked at my playtime and started crunching the numbers in my head in regards to how much time I would have saved if I had known sooner. The answer is a lot. A lot of time. Explore the vast skill trees and crafting options at your disposal. You will need them to advance your quest. To build the necessary crafting stations and to make available new things to craft, you will have to invest skill points. You gain these by doing pretty much anything in this game, which is good, because you need a lot of them. There's multiple trees and they are pretty lengthy, so get spending. You will be spending a lot of time running around in confusion when trying to craft the thing you need, as you need to craft another thing to craft that thing, which you will need another thing for. This will result in a constant search for new materials, after which you realize you actually need another tech to craft the thing you need, which you need points for which you don't have. Usually blue points, those are fucked. While grinding out gravestones to get more blue points, you will probably be distracted by something else that needs doing, and you'll completely forget what you needed to do in the first place, until you realize that you wanted to bring some item to an NPC, right as the sun sets on the only weekday the NPC is in town. So you gotta wait a week. And when the weekday comes next time, you'll have forgotten about it entirely. This is the first circle of hell. The crafting mostly consists of holding a button in this game. It's more of an energy and time management mechanic. Time is a lot more lenient in this game than in Stardew Valley, where you just fall over and die when it's too late. It's only really relevant when it comes to finding NPCs on the proper day. There's also alchemy. For me, alchemy in this game basically only meant to go to the wiki and look what ingredients I need for certain items. Not sure if that's how you're supposed to play the game. It doesn't feel like the most essential part of the game anyway, so I mostly only crafted what I needed for my quests. After all, I can just buy my prescription drugs from the local swamp witch. I'm sure this all passed regulation. Similarly to the church in reality, you will need to find alternative avenues to pursue your dreams of riches and luxury. Sure, you'll be able to get a bit of coin through your sermons, but that shit won't cut it. While you start as a humble graveyard keeper, you can use your corpses to kickstart a capitalist empire hitherto unseen in this world. With your wits shaped by the modern world, you can advertise your new trade company and send your crops and other materials to be sold, giving you an amount of money unrivaled by any other methods. Even though the achievements make it seem like you're supposed to mainly sell your crops, this just isn't my style. Instead, I chose to create the greatest nail selling company the world has seen. I am unsure what these people need all these nails for, but I frankly don't care. Of course, this isn't just Graveyard Keeper. This is actually Graveyard Keeper plus Breaking Dead, plus Stranger Things, plus Game of Thrones, plus Better Safe Soul. Alright, we get it guys, you know pop culture. Well, these things are the downloadable content for this game. I don't want to talk too much about it, but I can say that it's generally quite fun. You build your own tavern, a refugee camp, there's quests and items and features added, and most importantly, it integrates perfectly into the base game. So if it's on sale, I'd advise getting it. Except if you are very poor, then you might want to save the money for groceries or something. I don't know, I'm not really a finance kind of guy. Graveyard Keeper is a very bizarre take on the farming game genre. A bit darker than its competitors with a more sardonic spirit to it. The gameplay loop is quite fun and satisfying, and I found the atmosphere to be surprisingly calming yet somber. There's some moments where the music kicks in just right as you run across the forests of this mysterious place where you can just soak in the atmosphere. Though that only happens in the first couple of hours in the game, before you put on lectures on double speed in the background while also listening to music and vacuuming your floor. Got to be on that grind set. The game obviously isn't without problems. There are parts of the game where it does feel like a bit of a tedious grind, where you just sort of run around the whole place talking to NPCs and crafting the same thing over and over to unlock new techs, though this is at least helped with potions, food and the teleport stone. I'm still finishing up some parts of the game, trying to get the rating of the graveyard as high as possible, making my production fully automatic using slave labor and getting all of the achievements. There's a crazy amount of shit to do in this game, and I've been enjoying my time with it quite a bit. If you're at all into farming games and don't mind or even prefer a bit of a more nihilistic, sarcastic and dark feel to your games, I'd say give the game a shot. I mean, what other game lets you harvest human meat and eat it? Oh, I guess there's a few.